Hey family, what's going on? Welcome to another video. I'm Michael,
I'm Emily.
and today we're doing something a little bit different. We hope you had a really great Veterans Day, and we thank all of our soldiers who have served for us, both past and present. We thank you for your service, and God bless you all. Today is going to be a little different in that we're not talking about a book specifically, but more of a type of book. And we're talking about manga. Now, a lot of you may or may not have heard of manga, and I'd imagine most kids nowadays have actually heard quite a bit of manga before. But this mostly is for the parents of the kids that are watching. And as a longtime person who's been in the manga scene, I've been reading manga since the 90s. So when I was a 12, 13, 14-year-old kid, I would read manga. They were very hard to find. Now they're a lot more readily available. So for instance, this right here I got when I was a teenager, and I still have them. They're quite pristine actually. But one of the deceptive things about manga is that
it's backwards.
Well, it's backwards, so we'll talk a little bit about the details of manga in general. So, for instance, we're going to take a look at the Twilight Princess. And this is a newer book. This came out earlier this year, and it's manga are full of beautiful pictures.
Yeah, it's like more about the pictures, and then they add the words at the end.
Well, no, it's what we would call a comic book here, but
it's just a humongous comic.
Well, graphic novels is what we call them in America. But the difference between these and a graphic novel, I think, are quite a bit. So in a lot of these, so for instance, in this here, these are specifically written for younger age group. Okay, and then you have some that are written that are like this here. And this is Cardcaptor Sakura. This is actually a newer manga as far as its age, but it's from when I was a kid. This show came to America in the mid-90s, and the manga was originally created in the early 90s. It's about 92, 93, and it was turned into an anime. Now the difference is that when they came to America, there were different parts of the show that were turned into something that would be more geared towards American. So they would change the name. So like, for instance, her name is Sakura in the show. But we know from the way we pronounce things correctly now, it's Sakura. Okay, and so like, for instance, one of the main...
Spanish names, right?
It's Japanese.
Japanese names, right? There, all the names.
Okay, so for instance, the brother's name here is Toya, and in America it's Tori. We have Eli, which is Ariel.
And
Spinel's son, which was Spinner here in America. Xiaoran Li, which was just called Li.
Sharon. Sharon.
There was a guy named Zachary, and his name is completely different. And I like I said, I grew up watching the American 4Kids version, but they changed a lot of things. And some of the things they changed were for the worse, and other things were for the better. So like as adults, we know what innuendos are. She doesn't, right? Yeah, and that's okay. But as adults, we know what innuendos are. And those are jokes or things that are geared towards adults. And there's not a lot in some of these. But when you get to other manga that look just the same, I mean, this here looks a little bit more kiddish than, not that one, the other one, Cardcaptor Sakura. A little bit more than this one does. However, my old manga, again, I got it as a teenager, and it was created for an older audience. And that was the difference between American and Japanese, because there's a lot of manga out there that where if you look at it, you can't really tell who it was written for just by looking at some of the images on the covers. And so I would challenge you parents to go through and take a look at the manga that are available that your kid might be interested in, or because they have a lot of bright colors, a lot of silly images, but they have either really deep philosophical questions or innuendos that kids have no business learning about or reading about in any facet of the words. And so that's one of the things that you should be weary of when it comes to just manga in general. Now, however, we can recommend a few manga that are pretty good. So Emily's going to pass me one, and she's going to tell you a little bit about it. Now, this one here is a story that I grew up on, and it's Pokemon Adventures, the best of Yellow.
Yeah. There's lots of the characters, so it goes up to volume 29, I think, that I know of. But then there's like different Pokemon Adventures, like Pokemon Adventures Red and Silver.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of them based on the video games. So the video games, the manga, and the anime are all companions. They don't necessarily go together, but they're all companion to each other. So a lot of the Pokemon that are in the show, or actually all the Pokemon that are in the show, with a few exceptions, are in the manga. And the same thing with the manga are in the video games.
So that is yellow, and that one's green, and that one's blue. And they're all connected to each other because like the first book is red, and then it's yellow because Red got lots of challengers because he was a champion, and he got one from Bruno. He had to battle Bruno, and then Green put Yellow on an adventure to find Red, and then he tries to find Pikachu.
Okay.
And then the next one is
but they have different ones
Gold
for
and
like I said, each game that came out or each region that they visit. So Kanto would be red, blue, yellow.
Green.
Johto is gold and silver.
and then
Kalos is X and Y.
And then Red and Ruby Sapphire. They have characters. I
Right.
like that one because it's super funny in it to me.
Okay. So go ahead and show me another one. Here, I'll take that. So I'll flip through some of the images. And again, the artwork for a lot of these are pretty good in general.
And that is not the real yellow
do
book.
Zelda. All right, and then we have here the Twilight Princess. I showed a little bit earlier. And this is, again, as I said before, a newer book. This came out earlier this year. This is actually the 9th book, right?
Yeah.
Or is it the 8th?
9.
9. It's got it right there. 9th. And I think these actually have some pretty stunning pictures in them. And the reason I'm starting from this side is, as she said earlier, these are Japanese. And so Japanese read backward to America. Whereas if you come over here to the quote-unquote last page, it says, wait.
You don't want to spoil a good end. Well,
You're reading in the wrong direction. And so it teaches you how to read.
It says, stop. This is the back of the book. You wouldn't want to spoil a great ending. And then it says directions. If this is your first time reading manga style, here's a quick guide to help you understand how it works.
Yeah, and then it tells you how to read each panel. So instead of reading this way, you read from the top left down. Instead of reading from the top right.
I read here and then down.
Wait, hang on. Nope, I'm sorry. I read it backwards. It's hard. So top right, it's because it's my left. Top right down this way. And so that's the difference. All right, well, that's going to do for the video. I know it wasn't necessarily a book review, but the whole goal of this was to educate you as parents and to make you aware that there are some books out there that they are seemingly innocent and that they don't appear to be any danger at all. But there are several manga out there that have some of the cutest little, kidsy type covers, but you started getting into it, and they are very, very gruesome. So just a heads up and a warning, and for us to be more diligent, because there's a lot of junk out there. Anyways, that's going to do for the video. We hope you enjoyed, and we hope to see you in the next one.
Love, peace, and chicken
Love, peace,
grease.
chicken grease.